Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. Today we're going to review the feedback that I got from the quilts that I submitted to the Georgia National Fair. So if you want to go through these sheets with me, please stay tuned. I'm really happy that I can share these quilts with you again. If you follow my channel, you know that I recently submitted some quilts to be entered into the Georgia National Fair, which is held in Perry, Georgia every October. I have never, before this time, I had never submitted a quilt, and really I just wanted to see what the process was like and get a ribbon. And what was really cool was that I did actually get a ribbon. I have it right here on one of my quilts. And this is my Believe in Magic quilt. And in just a minute, I'll put a picture of the quilt because I want to put the picture before I go over the feedback that they gave me. Here is my ribbon, and it says Quilts Judge's Choice. So I got a Judge's Choice ribbon. This means that my quilt was one of the judges' favorites out of all the quilts that were entered. I was able to go to the fair and see my quilts on display. I'm going to put a picture of each one of those quilts here in the video so that you can see me with them at the fair. But the real purpose of today's video is so that you can see the feedback that I got. I ultimately am pretty proud of what I submitted, but they did give some very affirming statements, and then a few constructive criticisms, and so that if I want to enter again, I know what I need to work on. Also, I think this is important if you are interested in entering quilts and you've never done it. This is just an example of how you might be judged so that you can have that in mind as you prepare to enter a quilt. So we'll go one quilt at a time, and I will show you the sheets and we can go over them together. Okay, so when I entered my quilt, I entered it in division 70402. I don't remember if that was medium-sized quilt or large quilt, or actually this is probably intermediate quilting. 70402 is probably intermediate quilt, and 8 might be large quilt. I would have to double check that and be sure. But one of them is for the size and one of them is for the fact that it's a quilt. Each of my entries got a number, and this one is for entry 191, which was my magic quilt. So I'm going to put a picture of that quilt here so that you can see it if you don't remember what it looks like. And then they give you a score. I got a score here of 84 out of 100, and they rate on these different categories. Okay, there's also a little section where they just kind of do a little check. It says original on design, execution of construction, appropriateness of design, of quilting design, execution of the design, use of color, integration, balance, visual impact, and overall appearance. So this judge, Deb, she checked off all of these things on here. So I guess that's like, these things are noticed immediately. Okay, for that quilt, each category, it has a little percentage here, and it adds up to 100. I think 20, 40, 60, 85, 100. Yes. And so for general appearance of that quilt, she gave me a 17, quilting stitches a 15, finishing a 13, level of difficulty an 18, workmanship or of piecing is a 21. So my total for this one was an 84. Okay. I also got feedback from the second judge, Francis. Okay, so I'll go over that as well. But for Deb, what I like about this is for this one, they give best features of the quilt and then suggestions for a more competitive quilt. Okay, now the circled items apply to whatever I did. Actually, this is not the magic quilt. This is the Volcano quilt. So when I go back and put the picture in, I'll put the Volcano quilt in there, I think. Let me look. Yeah. So this is for the Volcano quilt. All right. So the things that she felt like were good about this quilt was that the binding was good, full and well applied, that I had a good choice of quilting design, creative use of pattern, and that my colors and fabrics were well chosen for that quilt style. Okay. To make it more competitive, she suggests more accurate piecing. My points were cropped a little bit on, and I'm sure that's true on some of those because it's a tumbling blocks quilt. I'm sure I don't have perfect points on that one. She suggested more uniform quilting stitches and tension issues, which I know is an issue for me, and then that the color impact could be improved. All right, and so for any other comments, she put that I have an imaginative use of the traditional pattern. The color distribution is good, but perhaps it could be enhanced with a more thoughtful placement. And I completely respect that. I understand what she means because it is a volcano, and I maybe could have worked on a little bit more on my color placement. I don't know. Okay, so that's Deb's perspective of the Volcano quilt. Now here's Francis's interpretation. Again, you see the judge's name, the division in the class, and the entry number. Okay, she checked original on design. And then as far as my scores went, 18 for general appearance, 10 for quilting stitch, yowzer, finishing 14, level of difficulty 17, and the workmanship of piecing a 21. So my total score on this quilt was an 80. All right, and then when we look at the second page, she said that my best features were that the quilt gives an excellent visual impact, that it's accurately pieced, outstanding use of color, creative use of pattern, and then that the color and fabrics were well chosen, and a pleasing overall appearance. For the suggestions to make it more competitive, she suggested that I more accurately align the binding, and then that I have more uniform quilting stitches. So I can see a pattern in these comments of something I need to work on. Her other comments were stunning colors, good piecing, and then watch tension issues in quilting. So you see that coming back again and again. So I know that for next year, that's what I'm going to need to work on. Now for my second quilt, this was the Volcano quilt. Again, you can see the... Oh, okay. I think that this was the size. So this was the large size, and class 8 was the quilting, because this one was a smaller size, 70202. So this is for my magic quilt. And so I got, you see the same categories here. So this is Deb, judge number 1. She's checked original on design, execution of construction, use of color, balance of design, integration of all design elements, and visual impact. And I'm going to put a picture of the magic quilt here so that you can see it, and then, you know, see what the what they said affected, or, you know, see what they said about the quilt. All right, so for general appearance, 18. Quilting stitch, hand or machine, 10 on this one, and I know why. I'll explain in a little bit. Finishing, 14. Level of difficulty, 18, and then workmanship at 21. My overall score was an 81 on this quilt. So for the best features, excellent visual impact with distance, and I think there's a reason that could be better. That it's accurately pieced. She says that the binding was full and well applied, creative use of pattern, well-balanced design, colors and fabrics well chosen for quilt style, and then very original. She put hope so. To make it more competitive, she said that that the quilting stitches could be more uniform, and that there could be more evenly distributed quilting. Because for this one, I quilted it in the ditch, and it could have been improved if I had quilted around the letters. This says, for her other comments, the magic is hard to read unless quilt is at a distance, but it is fantastic. So I'm excited about that. Okay, now for Francis. I She checked original on design, use of color, and visual impact. For this one, she gave my general appearance a 15, and then my quilting stitches a 12, finishing 14, level of difficulty 18, workmanship of piecing 22, which is really good. So my total score was an 81. The suggestions were that it does have an excellent visual impact, that the bindings are good, outstanding use of color, creative use of pattern, and that it's very original. To make this quilt more competitive, she suggested more quilting, which is really interesting, and then more evenly distributed quilting. Okay, and then what she said was, you definitely created a magical quilt. Wonderful improv piecing, more quilting would enhance magic design. And here it got cut off. I'm really sad because I think she said something about the ditch quilting, and I could have quilted it a little bit more. So I wish that I had that part. And it doesn't say, I don't think that it doesn't tell which judge picked this quilt as their favorite quilt. So I don't know, but I did get great feedback on it. So let's see what we can learn from this. As I look through this feedback, one of the main things that I realize I need to work on is my tension issues in quilting. If you follow my channel, you know that that's kind of a weakness for me, something that I really need to learn more about and work on. So I'm definitely going to pursue that. Another thing I think that it will be important to think about is the quilting design, especially if I do an art quilt. I'd like to be a little bit more thoughtful about how the quilting will affect the art. When I made the quilt, that magic quilt, I'm not sure that I was thinking about entering it for judging until it was all finished. But when I was quilting it, I just wanted to get the quilting done and have a finished project. So from now on, if I choose to make something artsy, and actually whether or not it's an art quilt, I will think more about the quilting and how that will affect the overall appearance of the quilt. I hope this video has helped you as you consider if you want to be a competitive quilter. I understand this is not anything that I have to do. I don't have to enter another quilt. And it was a good experience for me just to go and be a part of that and see the Georgia National Fair. It was my first time ever visiting. So either way, it's a great experience. Let me know in the comments if there's something that you're considering entering and how this video may have helped you on that journey. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!